It starts with a feeling, subtle at first, almost easy to ignore. A glance that lingers just a second too long. A pause in an interview that feels heavier than it should. A reaction that doesn't quite match the polished, media-trained image fans are used to seeing. And then, suddenly, people begin to ask questions. What changed? What happened behind the scenes? And more importantly, what pushed Jungkook to the edge? Because for years, Jungkook has been known as someone who absorbs pressure quietly. He smiles, performs, and carries expectations that would overwhelm most people. So when fans began to sense that something was different, something sharper, more emotional, it didn't take long for speculation to spread. Was this just a misunderstanding, or was there something deeper going on, something tied to the way the media has been portraying Jungkook? Let's be honest here. Media coverage has always played a powerful role in shaping public perception. The way a headline is written, the angle of a photo, even the tone of a question in an interview, it all matters. And when it comes to global superstars like Jungkook and Jimin, even the smallest narrative shift can ripple through millions of fans worldwide. So what happens when that narrative starts to feel off? Some fans began pointing out patterns, headlines that felt exaggerated, clips taken out of context, moments between numbers that were framed in ways that didn't quite reflect what people saw in full videos. And slowly, a question started forming in the community. Is the media crossing a line when it comes to Jimin? Now, think about this for a second. Imagine watching someone you care about being constantly misrepresented. Imagine seeing their words twisted, their expressions misunderstood, their intentions questioned. How long would you stay silent? How long would you keep smiling for the cameras before something inside you says, enough? That's the space where many believe Jungkook found himself. There's no need for dramatic statements or confirmed confrontations to feel the shift. Sometimes it's in the energy, in the way Jungkook responds to certain questions, in the way he subtly redirects attention, in the way he looks at Jimin, not just as a bandmate, but as someone he understands deeply, someone whose struggles don't need to be spoken out loud to be felt. And that's where things get interesting, because Jungkook's reactions, whether intentional or not, have sparked a bigger conversation, not just about him, not just about Jimin, but about the entire relationship between artists and media. Are idols expected to just accept everything? Is there an invisible line they're not supposed to cross even when they feel something is wrong? Fans began dissecting moments. A slightly firmer tone in an interview, a protective comment, a shift in body language when certain topics came up. None of it explosive on its own, but together it painted a picture that was hard to ignore. And here's the thing, this isn't about blaming media entirely. The media operates in a fast-paced environment where attention is currency. Headlines need to grab interest, stories need to spread quickly, but at what cost? Is it possible that in trying to capture attention, some narratives lose their balance? Let's pause here and ask something important. When you read a headline about a celebrity, how often do you question it? How often do you look deeper, watch the full clip, understand the full context? Or do we sometimes, without realizing it, become part of the cycle that amplifies these narratives? Because that's the uncomfortable truth. The relationship between media and audience is not one-sided. It's a loop. Media creates content, audiences react, and those reactions influence what comes next. So when certain portrayals of Jimin gain traction, whether accurate or not, it reinforces the idea that this is what people want to see. But is it? Or are fans actually craving something more genuine, more respectful, more aligned with reality? This is where Jungkook's perceived reaction becomes more than just a moment. It becomes a symbol, a reflection of what many fans feel but don't always express, a quiet pushback against narratives that don't sit right. And yet, it's important to stay grounded. There's a fine line between interpreting moments and projecting assumptions. Not every glance is a statement, not every reaction is a protest. But when patterns emerge, when multiple moments start to align, it's natural for people to connect the dots. So the question becomes, Are we witnessing a shift in how idols respond to media? For a long time, the expectation has been clear: stay composed, stay neutral, avoid controversy. But the industry is changing. Artists today have more global influence, more direct connection with fans, and more awareness of how they're being represented. Could this mean that we'll start seeing more subtle forms of resistance? Not loud confrontations, but quiet corrections. Not direct call-outs, but intentional shifts in tone and behavior. If that's the case, then Jungkook's situation, real or perceived, might just be the beginning of a larger trend. And let's not forget the human side of all this. Behind the performances, behind the polished images, behind the carefully managed appearances, there are real emotions, real friendships, real bonds that have been built over years of shared experiences, challenges, and growth. Jungkook and Jimin are not just colleagues. They've trained together, performed together, faced global pressure together. They've seen each other at their best and at their most vulnerable. So when something affects one of them, it's not surprising that the other would feel it too. That's what makes this story resonate. It's not just about media coverage, it's about loyalty, about empathy, about the unspoken understanding between people who have walked the same path for years. And maybe that's why fans are so invested. Because in a world where everything can feel manufactured, moments that hint at something real, something emotional, something protective stand out. They remind people that behind the fame, there's still authenticity. But again, we come back to the bigger question. What should the role of media be in all of this? Should it simply report, or should it also reflect responsibility? Should it prioritize speed or accuracy, attention or integrity? And what about us as viewers? Do we reward sensationalism by engaging with it, or do we support content that feels fair and balanced? Because change doesn't happen in isolation. It happens through collective awareness. If fans begin to demand more thoughtful coverage, media outlets will eventually adapt. If audiences start questioning narratives instead of accepting them at face value, the entire dynamic shifts. So maybe this isn't just about Jungkook and Jimin. Maybe it's about a turning point, a moment where fans, artists, and media all start to rethink their roles, where respect becomes just as important as reach, where stories are told not just to attract attention, but to reflect truth. And that brings us back to Jungkook. Whether or not he truly exploded is almost beside the point. What matters is what people felt when they saw those moments. The sense that he was no longer completely comfortable staying silent. The idea that he might be, in his own way, standing up for someone he cares about. And honestly, isn't that something people can relate to? Who hasn't felt the urge to speak up when someone they care about is being treated unfairly? Who hasn't struggled with the balance between staying quiet and saying something? That's the space where many believe Jungkook found himself. So there's no need for dramatic statements or confirmed confrontations to feel the shift. Sometimes it's in the energy, in the way Jungkook responds to certain questions, in the way he subtly redirects attention, in the way he looks at Jimin, not just as a bandmate, but as someone he understands deeply, someone whose struggles don't need to be spoken out loud to be felt. And that's where things get interesting, because Jungkook's reactions, whether intentional or not, have sparked a bigger conversation, not just about him, not just about Jimin, but about the entire relationship between artists and media. Are idols expected to just accept everything? Is there an invisible line they're not supposed to cross, even when they feel something is wrong?